rings the bell and the members show to the GuMPer morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GuMPer.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, GuMPers.
Hola, bon dia, alegria. Monson here with a Good Morning Portugal show, a live stream and podcast. Hello, young man. I better turn my light on as well, hadn't I? There we go. That's that's worse. Good. The lady you can hear laughing is Mrs. M, who we're bringing on the screen now. How are you this morning, Mrs. M? I'm not the freshest I've ever been, I've got to say.
No, I'm very well. I'm very fresh, thank you. Although I've been up since 5 a.m. when one of our kids woke us up.
Yes, I managed to get back to sleep, but I slipped into the old habit of going to bed, staying up late and going to bed late, and then facing the deadline of being on air by around 8:32. This morning. Good morning to you. How are you? Deagle, T-Duck, Jeff Jackson. How you doing, Jeff? How's it all going? James as well.
There's a lot of stuff in the chat room. It's very nice.
Always great, isn't it? Fantastic. Thank you, T-Duck, for the dad jokes. Can't wait for those. Yes, very good. Excellent. Oh, and you can play Spot the Fly this morning. Shall I actually draw a circle on my forehead and see if the fly lands on it?
No, don't.
Okay. And Coach Turner, yes, Coach Turner's here with a squad tip of the day. Yes, I've got a video to prepare, of course, from the footage that you sent from last weekend. Thank you for that reminder, although it wasn't a direct one there, Coach Turner. You are on my to-do list. So good news. Do you want the good news or the bad news?
What does it take to be on your to-do list? What does that mean?
Are you feeling left off it?
Yeah, maybe.
Seriously?
Maybe.
Okay.
Wandsworth
surgery we've been on.
I hold your feet most mornings now. We've got this new.
That's not on your to-do list, is it?
Well, it might be nice to have a bit of a foot massage myself.
Oh, is it okay?
Can you not do that with one of your hands?
Let's. Why don't we? That's a really great idea, actually. Let's create to-do lists for each other. That includes all the GuMPers this morning at the GuMPer gathering here this morning that we do every morning from around approximately 8:30. And let's see if I'm a good multitasker. If I can give you a foot massage.
He's touching my feet.
Under the desk.
My foot.
You only had to ask. For goodness sake. Good morning, lovelies. Is this a mysterious message from a Facebook user? But yeah, if you want to, why don't we create to-do tasks for each other?
Okay, dokes.
That'd be amazing, wouldn't it? A society.
I wonder what tasks people would have you do for me.
Arrive at 8:30.
I mean, I was actually sat here in time, wasn't I?
Oh, that's called a honey-do list, apparently. It exists already.
Wow,
the Americans are ahead of us.
They always are.
Yes. Baddie's in as well. Good morning from a wet sayer.
Oh
no. The water heater died again. Time to get a new one. Oh, flipping heck, Baddie. It's one thing after another, isn't it, over at yours over there? Hopefully that's the last major incident for a little while there. But these are little instant water heaters, or big ones if you need them, and the electric versions you can get as well with their own built-in storage tank, of course. Good luck with the search for that, but it is quite a good system, isn't it? At least when you've got some gas. Okay, so good luck with that, buddy, and thank you so much yesterday for being one of our supporters. It's always lovely when the coffee bot comes onto the screen and says you've been supported, and that was you yesterday, buddy. So very grateful to you. If you have been thinking of getting round to supporting the show, then why not do that and see it flash up on the screen? You can face and contend with public adulation and
that might actually
civic
put people
pride.
off, mightn't it?
It might. If you want to send millions anonymously, that is also okay. You don't need to embarrass yourself on the screen. But Andy is here. Oh dear, stoves are dying all over the country.
Oh, no.
Pellet stove died, and water drains clogged by a large banana tree. I'm sorry to laugh, Marty, but that is quite a very specific predicament for you this morning.
Yeah.
Where I was feeling a little sluggish, that's just going away from me as I hear about people's travails around the country this morning. Why did I want a house again? Yeah, it just comes with the territory, doesn't it? Literally, I suppose all these domestic difficulties.
Yeah, I mean, I know, like when we're renting, it sounds like quite an easy option, but I mean, we also end up doing loads of maintenance. Like I spent.
I had to tidy up my own garage yesterday.
3/4 of a day cleaning mold off the walls that had just accumulated in about 2 months of rain. Can we not get the
landlord to come round and do that?
No, I mean, that's a pretty big one though, isn't it? With the water drains clogged. Do you remember when we rented that house in Korea, the number one, where
the water where the lady turned the water off at night?
No, she turned it off. She turned it on for about 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes in the evening.
Oh, that was our allowance.
Yeah, and we had water coming up through all of the tiles.
Oh yeah,
through the bath.
Up through the bidets as well, wasn't it?
Yeah,
we had water features.
Yes, we had water features. We were
hadn't been used for a long time, had it? No, there were archaeological remains backing up through the bidets.
It was absolutely vile.
Good morning to you.
And we all got sick
to that
and
lady,
moved out.
To that lady there. She was an interesting lady, wasn't she? She was interested in Bitcoin.
Yes, she was
as well, wasn't she? And well, fascinating. We remain friends though. We didn't allow that to come between us, did we?
No, definitely not.
No, okay. Stephen, leave the footwork for your OnlyFans. Oh, Stephen. No. Mrs. M, you often accuse me of being low in the camera. You look quite.
That's because I lowered myself so you could feel my foot.
Oh, I see. Right,
okay, I'm going to sit back.
If she drifts off into ecstatic reverie, you'll know why, everybody. This point.
No, I'm back. I'm back. Like my feet are firmly on the ground now.
A honey-do list. That's good, isn't it?
I like that idea.
Okay, and the mention of bidets has we've got Katia Lima. She's written the top reference piece on bidets, as I think you Americans call them, and bidets, as we call them in the UK. Not that we have them in the UK. The first encounters people had with bidets was when they've had their first continental holidays. Can you imagine?
Yeah, going to France for the first time.
Yeah, in the 60s and 70s, when people were going en masse, to use a French term. Oh, it was great to have a Frenchman phone in yesterday, wasn't it? I must get that. We should have asked him about bidets, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
But that was the first encounter many British people had.
Use a bidet?
With the
bidet. Different cultures have different ways of doing it. I remember being in a public loo in Colombo Airport, and
check you out.
and there was this like hose pipe with like a shower head on it.
A hose pipe. That sounds like OnlyFans as well,
or like a shower head.
Yes.
And I couldn't work out exactly what it was for, and then in a short while, it didn't take too long to work out, people just wash their bums straight away.
What?
There was no toilet paper.
Oh,
but like a shower.
Right, okay. In Colombo Airport.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
And then when I got to Bali and saw it there, I was like,
okay.
It's a bit of a it's a new mindset to get into,
Yes,
because it's also.
And have you done that? I mean, do we probe?
Yes, I mean,
probe people? Are we asking them if they've got into that habit here since having a bidet?
Well, it just raises a whole level of new issues. Like if you are washing your bum, how are you drying it?
Oh dear. Okay.
There are no towels. Would you use a towel in a public toilet? Probably not.
I didn't think we were going to sink that low this morning. Literally, bidet.
But wherever you go, there are different sort of like toileting routines,
procedures,
and techniques. Yeah.
Protocols.
Yes.
Let's call them protocols. I've never used a bidet. I'm not even sure how. Some now, was it somebody who was telling me? I think, the Belgian lady. I don't want to give too much more away than that, in case she doesn't want me talking about her bidet habits. But she says that she's encountered a new system where there's an integral hose as part of the system as well. Mains pressure as well. Ooh. Okay.
Well, I found them, a clean bidet is very handy, when you're trying to get kids to learn to clean their teeth.
What?
Obviously, I don't use it for its intended use, right, but because there's a tap.
Oh, it's at the right height.
It's the right height for little toddlers, and it's great for them washing their hands and things and washing their feet.
Do you know? I'm sure these things that you're discovering have been in cultures that who have been firm bidet users for decades.
Yeah, I imagine so.
I think you're right. Okay,
washing your feet, it's not just about washing your bottom, is it?
or
and
other nether regions. Okay. People who do get into the habit swear by them in a good way as well. Okay. Well, thank you for that little. How did we? Oh, I don't know. How did we start talking about bidet? Oh, because of the house we lived in, where there was a bidet backwash situation. Okay.
It sounds gross.
It was gross, wasn't it? I'd like to get a decorative cover for the bidets in our apartment so I could put flower pots on them.
In fact,
why not start a little aquaponic system inside it?
Yeah, we actually had so many toilets in one of the houses we lived in.
Yes,
that we actually used them as planters.
Well, I was thinking of opening up an American-style tourist attraction called Bidet Land, and we could have a sign on the IC2, just half a mile to Portugal's biggest collection of bidets. Don't miss it. And we could have you could have a restaurant where you could eat out of a miniature bidet.
Oh, why would you do that?
Because it's part of the theme, and you could buy a bidet paperweight. It'd be great fun, wouldn't it? It's one of my ideas. Oh, it was on my to-do list.
I think you can scrap that one.
That's how effective it is. Bidet Land.
Bidet Land sounds really horrid.
All right. Hey, Carl, tudo bem? For this week's show, I'm thinking of talking about how to fight off wintertime sickness, the Portuguese way. Now, that sounds good, doesn't it?
Who said
Ask
that?
nicely and then eventually start shouting if necessary. Fighting off bugs and winter sickness. It will include references to lemon tea and all the national favourites like Dr. Bayard's cough drops, not Dr. Bayard's coffin drop. That's different. But Dr. Bayard's cough drops and a couple of old-time boozy recipes, one with aguardent and another with red wine in it. This will connect on a blog post that will be published as well. I guess, come on, one of our top Portuguese language and culture correspondents. That'll be Katia Lima beyond Lisbon. She'll be with us tomorrow.
Excellent.
With a reference to Dr. Bayard's. So looking forward to that. That's great news. So boozy remedies as well, the old-fashioned way, what grandma might have given you. Can you imagine? That's why the families are so tightly bonded here, because ever since kids were 2 and 3 years old, their grandma gave them aguardent when they weren't feeling very well. How cool is that? Hello, Mrs. Emmy there.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I guess you would love your grandma if she was
lovingly up at her as she gives you aguardent to take all your troubles away.
Yeah.
George is here as well. That's fantastic. No, not yet, Jacques. Don't heat up that hotline until 9:30. And when we've been joined by Dougie, not Dougie Fresh, but Dougie. Who remembers Dougie Fresh? 6 minutes, Dougie Fresh. You're all. You've got the fly on your side.
I've got
now.
him on my side.
Dougie Hughes, live from his Welsh home in the Valleys. He'll be with us. He's an ex-BBC employee, and he still writes for the Portugal News as well. So he's a media guy, and he'll be able to answer this question: do you want the good news or the bad news? Humans seem to like the bad news. Us rubbernecking instinct inside us to keep us safe from harm.
Yeah,
that's the justification given for looking at bad news, isn't it? Is to understand the dangers of the world so that we don't have to experience them. Perhaps, I don't know what Dougie has to think about that. I think he comes from the BBC tradition of education, entertainment. What is it? To educate, inform, and entertain. That was the original BBC mission. They seem to have drifted a little bit from that, don't they?
I'm not entirely sure, because it's been years since I've watched the Beeb.
Is it not propagandized, brainwash, and depressed now?
Possibly,
allegedly.
The things I have watched would, I guess you could say that.
Yes. Yeah.
Like they may well still think they're informing people.
Yeah.
But when I don't know. I mean, I just haven't watched it enough to have an opinion on it, really. But
that is incredibly fair of you.
Yes, I know. It's really unusual.
Why are you being like that this morning?
I don't know. I must be maturing.
What? I don't know enough about that to give an opinion on it.
There you
Said
go.
Mrs. M never ever before. What?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what's just happened there, everybody.
No, I don't either. There must be some kind of awakening going on.
But several CEOs have been in touch, and they want you to run their HR departments. They're sick of this modern HR business, and they want you to.
They want me to
get
your
ass
in here now.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, or you're fired.
Yeah, you're fired.
Yeah, so you've got a lot of job offers since pretending to be Wandsworth Surgery yesterday.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'd be very happy with that.
Yeah, thank you to everybody who's watched that clip. We've had over 100 views of that in 24 hours. The one most likely to get us banned from YouTube, I think. And thanks to all the subscribers.
I don't see how. I mean, we were just having a bit of fun.
We're
I mean, we weren't saying go and infect people or anything like that. We were just saying that's interesting.
Yes.
That's an interesting point of view that the news have said that, and a little sketch.
That was never a defense on YouTube. It was just an interesting point of view. Yeah, that's not going to stand up in court. Wild. Look, John Heimbach from last night, he said, hey, John, if you're up having a wee, and yes, when you're bleary-eyed, you can use either the bidet or the toilet, can't you? In Portugal at 2 a.m.
Yeah, but when he's here, he won't have to get up at 2 a.m. to watch the show, will he?
He's such a legend, though. I mean, getting up and then switching on the iPhone when the call of nature strikes. When we were talking last night, Portugal Club, great meeting last night, and this is John saying, I've got a really good book called The Wild Guide to Portugal, and I thought to myself, I've got that, and you bought this for me, didn't you, a couple of Christmases ago?
Did I?
It's such a good book. It's such a good book, and thank you for that reminder. So we'd
Where
recommend
is it?
No idea. I've got to look for it. But this is it's got skinny dipping in it.
Wow.
That'll get people going to Amazon immediately, trying to order that, right? Hidden Places, Great Adventures, and The Good Life in Portugal. So I think it's a great book. And Rich Steves, we were talking about him, Rich Steves. Apparently, he only goes as far north as Porto in his books. So boo to you, Rich Steves. I think that's your name. Only going that far. I said I would take him to task publicly with the folks we were talking to last night. So thank you for that. A really good recommendation.
That's just an opportunity for a new publication, isn't it?
What
the bits that Rich Steves doesn't tell you.
Oh, I see. Rich Steves' new book, The Real North of Portugal.
Yeah, or you do one.
North of Porto.
You do one.
We saw fantastic. We saw a very funny vocal fry video yesterday, didn't we? Where the criticism of that type of delivery, that lazy fried delivery, was taken to task on a funny video. Yes, very good. And that was Frank, I think. Frank is really quite a grumpy old man, isn't he? Thinking about it. And looking forward to your company soon, Frank. And we are already at 10 to 9, Mrs. M. What happens here? You know, the fastest unit of time is the taxi driver hooting you after the lights have turned green in Lisbon. The second fastest unit of time is GuMPer minutes together. When we gather in the mornings, the time just flies by. And look!
Yeah, and there's loads of people still to say hi to, like George Kyle and Annie.
And Andy's here, look, finally catching GuMPer Live. GuMPer Live from Portugal. Andy, so good to see you here. Sarah's in as well.
Hey.
And Andrew, George. Yes, George and Andy, lots of love to you this morning. Sir Lion H. Bon dia, Alegria. Carl and...
Who is Sir Lion H?
He's a legend. In the north, actually. In the north of Portugal. Great to see you here, Sir Lion H. And Anna Stivish is here as well. And Marty too. We've got to get that recommendation. Oh, and Jeff, muito obrigado for all you contribute to the community conversation and learning. Very much appreciated. To Ian and to Thunder. Absolutely right. Yeah, definitely. And Bairandi had a recommendation for Baddy. Volcano are a good make if you're buying a gas.
Didn't we have a Volcano in the hotel that we lived in?
I can't remember the one that I purchased and erected, but that was an electric, wasn't it? That was the electric water heater. And always a tense moment when you're roll plugging a massive electric water heater to an old Portuguese wall. I think I did a pretty good job, right?
Yeah, you did. It worked.
Great. It was great.
We had hot water.
We didn't think the electrics would be up to it, but we are seeing here that a lot of these contributions will be carried into the next hour at this rate. I want to set the tone though.
Do you know what? Talking about electrics, a little known fact when you do come to Portugal is that all the properties have a different kind of service of electricity. And so you often find that the Airbnbs and places that you're kind of renting are on one of the lower electricity settings.
Yes.
Meaning that you can't have as much on in your house.
Meaning you can't hoover. That's how we discovered it.
Well, no, it mainly affects you in the winter when you start like using maybe electric heaters and things like that. Because you've got the electric heater on and you don't think about anything. You just think, oh, thank goodness it's getting nice and warm and toasty.
Yeah.
And then you put the oven on to roast a chicken, say, and then you flick the kettle, and then all of a sudden everything goes out. And it's like, oh my God.
Do you know, the first time I discovered that was just putting the Hoover on.
Really?
It was when I went from the B-Day place to the black mold place. Do you remember? I can't. Yeah. I'm not living here anymore.
Yeah, we've been living the life in Portugal for 5 years.
We'll go and live in the dilapidated abandoned hotel instead. So I had to go and do nights, didn't I? And scrape the black mold off with my bare hands to make one room inhabitable.
Yes.
Of this, and that's where I put the Hoover on.
Yeah.
And we've got a pretty impressive Hoover. It's a family heirloom.
It's very old.
It's a Miele,
very effective,
with a 10K motor on it or something. And as soon as that bad boy went on, within 30 seconds, it had blown the fuses. Yeah. Now, the inward rating of your electricity in Portugal can be varied. That's what you're talking about, Mrs. M, isn't it? And you've got to tell the electricity board, EDP usually, well, actually, they've separated now, haven't they? I think the infrastructure system is now one company, and the suppliers, a bit with the sort of usual deregulation that goes on when they're selling off the national treasures, which is, I think, what's going on in Portugal now. Or maybe that happened ages ago, because EDP is French anyway, isn't it? But you need to tell your supplier that you want it uprated so that you can blow dry your hair and make a cup of tea at the same time.
Or put the washing machine on.
Put the washing machine on.
So like your kettle, your washing machine, putting the oven on.
However, if you want a really good excuse not to do any of those things, you can just say that to your partner, can't you? Sorry, I can't multitask in this way. The house fuse board does not allow for it. What's happening to my voice? Excuse me.
You need your Honecker.
I need my what? My Honecker. I do, don't I? I might have black mold of the throat or something. Right, where were we, Mrs. M?
Yeah, sorry. You were saying some of these greetings might have to
wait.
We got distracted just a little bit later, just because.
Well, it's fine. So Dougie will be fine. Dougie will be fine. I want to go to our very own news desk, and I wonder if you can decide or help me decide here. Oh, there's John Campbell on the screen there. Isn't it funny? You can tell what people have been watching on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
After they've watched a YouTube video. Right, that's from the news desk. I'm not sure if I'm singing to myself or if you can actually hear the music playing in the background. The settings are such so that you can. But anyway, there is Caldas de Rainha Zé Bavino by Bordalo, a Belgian triple beer. And this is my latest approach, talking of good news and bad news and how we might do it as a culture, as a society. This is my latest way of delivering news. This is called Drink and Learn, because the wonderful John Brand, who gave that bottle of beer to me to try, I've created a little news piece here. You saw the video of the beer being turned very lovingly in our, and I've even drunk it. I haven't tried it, but I'm trying to make it as educational as possible, this news. So you find out who is Zé Pavino. You find out who was Bordalo, his creator. You can find it on the GuMPer map. There's geography for you. There's Portuguese-related vocabulary, cerveja, rainha, and artesanal. And there are other references.
It's like as well. Homeschool.
What do you think?
This is a great approach. I like it.
It's not bad, is it?
Yeah, well done.
And thank you very much. And while you're about it on the news page, if you want to get a Revolut or Wise card, if you've been meaning to get around to that and you haven't done it, if you've got one and not the other, and you'd like both to be prepared as a bit of a backup, if you do that through the links we've got on our news page as well, we'll get a little bit of a referral fee, which keeps the train on the track. So there you go. That's my new approach to news. Ticking a lot of boxes: geography, language, culture, and whilst you're drinking. Can't be bad, can it? All right, there you go. I wanted to squeeze that in as my approach to the news. But how are we going to do this? James, you sent to me Bright Vibes, didn't you? Which is a positive news outlet. I was also for the purposes of full disclosure, I was the assistant editor at the United Kingdom, the global publication Positive News as well, which I think I've said before wasn't the most positive of experiences. It's funny that.
Yeah.
I've actually published my own feel-good journal. I called it the Sheffield's Guide to Positive and Planetary Change or something like that. So I've been in the business of positive news publishing. And I can tell you it's true that most, what is it? They say bad news has traveled around the world 3 times, whilst good news is still doing up its shoelaces. But is that going to change for humanity, I think, in these coming decades? Will we be able to detach ourselves from the preoccupation with bad news, I wonder? Nubianette is here. Fiona's here.
Looks like Fiona's got something to say.
Go on, certainly has.
Okay.
She's obscuring us with
on
massive
electricity. We are currently living with a potentia of 3.4 kilowatts due to somehow being deemed to have paid a bill late. Personally, the receipts prove otherwise. However, still stuck without enough power for the washing machine or even boil a normal kettle if the fridge is drawing power at the same time. It's a challenge for sure. Can't talk to EDP. Are still waiting for new ID after bag was stolen. Oh no!
Oh dear!
I'm waiting for the house purchase to happen. Oh my goodness! I'm so sorry that you've got that going on.
Yeah, I mean that is just a terrible situation to be in. That no one should be in, should they? In this day and age, as it were.
I mean, when we were in that, not like the same situation as you, Fiona, but you know, to help us in terms of not like getting a sudden power cut, we went out and bought a massive. In fact, we could do with it. It'd be really handy now. I don't know where it is, but a massive thermos flask. And so we would just boil a kettle before we did anything else in the day. And we started living
about those good
times. Yeah, like boil a kettle. And then we'd have hot water all day. So, it's one less thing that we had to do. But that's very, very difficult to manage. And, I hope that gets resolved very soon. And I'm really sorry to hear about your bag being nicked as well. That's not what we expect, is it?
No, and it just doesn't seem right, does it, that people are punished in that way?
Yeah.
So sorry to hear that, Fiona. And now, am I right in thinking that Celine H and Rui are the same person? I think they are. Forgive me for that. But Rui, thank you very much for your pictures of Bordalo Pinheiro pieces.
Wow.
I refer to.
Are you going to share them?
Wow. Look at that. Do you like that? You want me to share that?
Yeah, that's really
massive strawberry of a thing.
It's really quite stunning.
We haven't done any memery for a little while, and I've got a fantastic, what I think is a great meme to share. I think T-Duck might like this as well. We have, I've got to choose one first, haven't I? There's this great big Bordalo Pinheiro. What about this for a bit of memery? I've been missing this. This is the new spinal tap aircraft. It goes up to 11,000 feet. Hey!
I don't get that. Is that one of their songs?
I could tell you didn't get that because there was a tumbleweed blowing between us at that point. But how about that? Portugal's new hybrid airline, Spinal Tap.
Okay.
What should we go with tap?
Do you tap
for
dancing?
The rest of the
There's going to be loads.
Dancing. Yes. How about the hot tap, the cold tap? I wonder. Yes. So thank you very much, Roy.
Look at those. They're a joy.
They are beautiful, aren't they? They're unusual. And I think they're very, what's the word? Not specific or particular. Distinctive, aren't they?
Yeah.
In a design scheme, I mean, they probably have to take the spotlight, don't they? Because they're not understated in any way, are they?
No.
What are they, though? What are they? Are those strawberries just works of art, or are they?
I think they're pots with removable lids.
Okay, I think
they've been fired separately.
They're amazing, aren't they?
Look at those.
People can't see these, Mrs.
Oh,
actually, the quickest way for me to do that. So
do it to your shed.
Yeah, I would. All right.
Sorry.
My goodness. Okay, I'm doing it. It's on my to-do list. It's one of the things near the top of my to-do list. I need to do it on a janela, don't I, rather than a separador de chrome this morning. Is that working for us?
We'll do in a sec.
No, it's in darkness.
Because you've got to stop sharing what you're already sharing.
No, I don't. I have stopped sharing what I'm already sharing, I think, actually. Are you seeing a black screen, folks, or are you seeing beautiful Bordalo Pinheiro ceramics? Look at that. That's beautiful. Is that I'm hoping people can see that. Yes. No, they can't.
You've got to remove that photo first.
You're right. All right. There's no need to shout.
I do think I said that about 30 seconds ago.
Yeah, and I misunderstood what you said. Look at that!
Wow,
these are beautiful, aren't they? This is what if you're wondering who is this Bordalo character? Is it called Rafael Bordalo? I'm not sure, but these are lovely works of art. Who doesn't like a cabbage leaf arrangement first thing in the morning? Okay, so there you go. Stopping the share on that and coming back to the main screen. I'm wondering where on earth Dougie is this morning. Did I send in the link, Mrs. M?
I don't know.
You don't, do you? I've got to make sure that Dougie's got the link so he can talk to us as an ex-BBC employee and currently a writer for the Portugal News. I wonder what his view is on that. No, I did send him the link. I'm going to send it to again just so that he can get a little ping on WhatsApp in case he's fast asleep in bed still. There you go, Spinal Tap. We have a picture from Spinal Tap to put that into perspective for people. Hilarious, Spinal Tap, and they are known. The reason the plane goes up to 11,000 feet is because of the amplifier they had that had a setting of 11 on it, as you can see on the screen. This one goes to 11. You and I have got to watch that together. It's as good as watching the Yacht Rock documentaries. It's just funny. It's funnier probably than Yacht Rock. I mean, the Yacht Rock documentaries we would commend to you all because they're very funny, and the music's great as well, isn't it? You get to hear a lot of the great Yacht Rock classics. Spinal Tap is hilarious. It really is, especially if you like the rock genre, which you do, of course, Mrs. M. Douglas is ready. He's looking fabulous this morning, upholding the BBC traditions of yesteryear, being finely dressed to sit behind a microphone. And we are able to bring you the visuals as well. Let's give him a nice warm hand on his opening. This is Douglas Hughes, live from his home in Welsh. Looking fabulous today.
And who doesn't like a warm hand on his opening first thing in the morning, eh?
Even our little boy is giving you a warm.
Hello. Hello. Oh, he looks awfully tired.
He's just woken up.
We are a little bit in that condition, all of us this morning. How are you? How are you?
I'm okay, thank you very much, Carl and Mrs. M.
Hello, how are you?
This is how we roll these days, Dougie. You don't just get me, you get Mrs. M as well.
Oh, well, 2 for the price of 1. Nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely. Now, the subject this morning is, do you want the good news or the bad news? And now you'll know a thing or two about this. You write for the Portugal News, and you are an ex-BBC man from the days when it was important to inform, educate, and entertain. Is that how you would... Actually, before we go into that BBC stuff, let me ask you if you had a good Christmas and wish you a very happy New Year. How rude of me.
Thank you very much, and the same going the other way to everybody in the Munson household and beyond in GuMPer land.
Yes,
absolutely, yeah. So my Christmas was fine. Thank you very much. A bit BBC like a repeat. Yeah.
That wasn't just the Sprouts.
Everything's repeated, isn't it? You get the same dinner, you get the same routine. Yeah, you kind of know what's coming next, don't you?
Happy Christmas.
Sadly, no Wizard of Oz.
Okay, all right. Why has that been banned?
I don't know. Probably has. Probably inappropriate in this day and age, isn't it?
I'm not sure why. I don't know.
I had no idea either, to be honest.
Right, so you're ex-BBC, right? BBC Wales?
Cymru, BBC Cymru. I spent more time, actually, in independent local radio, ILR, than I did at the Beeb. I did a lot of training at the BBC and all that sort of thing. But I moved on from broadcasting and went into my father's property business. And because he was, of a mind to retire, and he said, well, if you don't sort of step in, basically, it'll be closed shop. So I decided I'd do that. And then in years, I almost did ILR as a hobby. I quite enjoyed it, working from studios locally rather than having to travel.
I'm looking forward to reading about this in your autobiography, because it just sounds like a really good story of, a man who was torn, a glamorous career in the media, or running the family business. That's a really good basis, I think, isn't it, for a good story or movie even?
Yeah. Well, if you're working for local BBC, the pay wasn't particularly brilliant, it has to be said. You had to be sort of an accomplished broadcaster working from London to a bit like a Hugh Edwards character to sort of be in the money.
Yes,
if you know what I mean. So it kind of made financial sense for me to move over to the world of business rather than broadcasting at the time. But I did hanker, even when I was on our cold, frosty building sites in the morning for a nice warm studio and a friendly neighborhood microphone. I did hanker for that. So I went back to it on a sort of a lesser basis in local radio. We worked from what was effectively an old bank in Colwyn Bay. It was an old Barclays bank. I'm pretty sure, and we had what everybody called the broom cupboard, a tiny little room for our studio setup. All it was a mixer desk, a few speakers, a couple of would you believe, record decks, some CD players, and the usual bump, and the rest of it was given over to news production.
Because that was the focus, wasn't it, for the BBC in them days?
Yeah.
And it's a far cry now, isn't it? Because I noticed that the local BBC, indulge us for a moment, everybody, but I imagine this is a familiar story around the world. The BBC are now covering greater and greater areas with their so-called local coverage. It's going kind of regional, and they're only having specific radio shows for localities, I think, in the morning and maybe drive time, and then everything else gets aggregated and collected across the whole country. So you wonder why it's still called local radio. But you must have been brought up on some of those original values of the BBC, Doug. What, as well as having a lot of fun on the microphone, you must have had a bit of training in the background in terms of editorial and how to go about sharing the news, or were you just a playboy whilst the newsroom were doing all that sort of stuff?
No, I actually was far more in. I didn't really want to go at the beginning. Wasn't interested at all in going coming on air, so to speak. I actually I was way more interested in the gubbins of radio, the slicing of open reel tapery and all that sort of thing, and actually producing sort of jingles and promos and things like that. I used to have a lot more fun in the technical side of things rather than going on mic. But in order to produce that sort of thing, you couldn't call upon microphone artists all the time. You had to do a bit of it yourself. So that's how I started using one of these things.
Oh, okay. And then you often had your hand on a package by the sound of it. I think that's what they call them, isn't it? Packages.
That's right.
I was going to say, you're loud and clear. It's really lovely speaking to somebody who's got a great mic themselves.
Well, actually, this is an old thing. Yeah, it is. Oh, does it sound well? Does it? Oh, good.
Yes, it sounds really good.
So what do you make of this fascination then? Again, you must have come across this. Morning to Eugene as well, and Antonio F, who are now with us as well. What do you make of this human fascination, which must have driven the editorial policy to some extent, where you've worked in both the government radio, as it were, and independent? What do you think it is about human nature that makes bad news more fascinating, or comes to the attention more of human beings? What is that about?
There used to be a buzz phrase going around studios. It was a bit ghastly, but it probably even applies today. If it bleeds, it leads. So and so that kind of explains a great deal. But I think I don't know if people actually relish bad news as such. It's just I don't know. It kind of makes for better visuals, I suppose. Well, not necessarily the bleeding side of things. Otherwise, that would be gore, wouldn't it? I'm just talking about when there's flooding and a bit of a natural event going on somewhere, kind of a sort of look what's going on over there sort of thing, rather than knowing about some old lady who's had a fair crack at a whip on the bingo or something. It's
that's meant to be the piece at the end, though, doesn't it? After you've had all the bad news. And now we're delighted to tell you that Phyllis from Merthyr Tydfil has scooped, 500,000 in her syndicate with her friends on the Euro Millions.
Independent television news used to called it their "and finally" piece, didn't they?
Yeah, you just cheer everybody up after depressing them for half an hour.
That's the one. It was under the tenure of the great Trevor McDonald, and used to come out on News at 10 and say "and finally," and then you'd have the good news beat.
Yes. Well, amazing. And you write for the Portugal News now, of course. People might be wondering, hold on, he's broadcasting from Wales and he's talking about the BBC. What's this got to do with Portugal? You're a great Lusophile, a lover of Portugal. You're here very regularly, of course, as a tourist in Portugal, and writing the occasional feature piece for the Portugal News. Do you think much has changed with the likes of the? I don't want to get too specific or put the spotlight on them unfairly or unnecessarily, but I think there's a general editorial rule, isn't there? Do you think things have changed?
Yeah. They've been.
Oh, Dougie's frozen and now stopped. Okay, this is an exciting moment. Now, this is a really good example of what we're talking about. Oh, you're back.
Did I vanish for there? I'm back.
Yeah, and I was just about to say that people like bloopers and when things go wrong in a live environment, and that again is all part of the rubbernecking, negative news-seeking part of human nature, isn't it? Of course. But you're going to tell us about the Portugal news there.
They've been at pains recently. I don't know whether you've trawled through the pages, but they've been at pains to have an ethos and to exemplify that ethos as being focused on positivity and good news, which is I think kind of I think it's sort of it's the kind of thing that expats want, really, isn't it? They move to a new territory. They don't want to be followed by all the ghastly news from wherever they've come from. So Portugal News does have a focus on good news where it can. Of course, there's stuff that has to be written occasionally, which isn't particularly brilliant. But on the whole, I think you can pick up a copy of the Portugal News and you're not going to become too terribly depressed.
And I think old habits die hard as well, don't they, Doug? Because a lot of people who end up on a provincial paper may have had a busier, more. Again, I don't want to sound judgmental, or but a different, brighter career elsewhere. And as their career develops, they might go to a provincial paper, or even retire and run and be involved in something like the Portugal News. Let's take a look at their headlines for today. Have you got anything coming out soon?
I believe so. Yes. There's one in currently. It's a story focusing on the spat between Thunberg and that online influencer guy. I can't even remember his name. Yes, that's it.
Yes,
I think it's called. The piece is called Left, Right. All this is rather dull now, and it's.
Very good. Okay, and not with not Jeremy Clarkson, because your other love is motoring, of course, isn't it?
Yes.
Which of course you write about occasionally in the Portugal News as well. Yeah. So Ronaldo hits 16-year low. Where can you buy the cheapest groceries in Portugal? Call for blood donors. This is an interesting one. New year work resolutions. This is what Portuguese workers want most. Let's maybe have a look at that this morning and see if we can help them in their efforts. Spinal Tap workers ask for share of company profits. That seems reasonable. Will it rain this weekend in Portugal? And a traditional shock horror piece. GNR officer handed 6-year prison sentence. And of course, the evergreen, certainly in the last couple of years, demand outstripping supply in the property market.
That's nothing new in Portugal, is it? I mean, that's been going on for some time.
Exactly.
I'd say.
Yeah. Golden visa investments up, and what will be the real estate trends of 2023? Some things that you might expect, I think yes, they're not alone, are they? In the wish to bring positive and good news to people as well, especially after the last few years that we've had collectively as well. We'll come back to the Portugal News and also what people want to tell us about what they'd like to see in the news. I know, James, you brought to my attention Bright Vibes. Some of you might be positive news readers. That publication that still continues actually in the UK, although it has an international outlook. Let's come back to the Portugal News. Let's see what you're saying in the chat, because we've also got Ugo Nuno, who's joining us this morning, and Portuguese phrases of the day as well, Doug, as well, which we can go through from T-Duck. So that began long ago, before 8 o'clock, with a Bom Dia Alegria GuMPers from T-Duck, and immediately with a deep thought. Are you a fan of the writer Ursula K. Le Guin? Do you like reading?
Yeah. I'm not particularly familiar with this one, though, to be fair.
Okay, well, she said, a wrong that cannot be repaired must be transcended. Applying that to the news and the media, I guess that's a right to reply is probably as good as it gets in the pages of the newspaper. Portuguese saying of the day: ajuda-te que Deus te ajudará. Heaven helps those who help themselves. We're still not entirely sure what that one was yesterday. What was that?
It's almost like God loves a trier, isn't it, that one?
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's true as well. Ugonunu then, the Lisbon Aquarium called the Oceanarium. And we do have a video, not today, but we have a video from T-Duck, a beautiful video of that he produced from a visit to the Oceanarium. Is the largest indoor aquarium in Europe. It really is good. It is the legacy of the 1998 Expo, dedicated to oceans and to celebrate the 500-year jubilee of the discovery of the sea route to India. Obviously, a little bit before both of our times, they're covering that story. The aquarium, as in the 500-year jubilee, as in the 500-year ago journey to India, not the Expo. Do you remember? were you coming to and from Portugal during the Expo time there, Doug?
Not as regularly as I am now, but I've been over to places like Porto and Lisbon, and a bit of the Algarve as well. But I tend to focus on city breaks because I was fascinated with all the entrapments of city life and the museums and so on.
Okay, all right. So, but that was a real turning point for Portugal, I think, and it would be great to have someone come and speak to us about the Expo that happened in 1998 in Portugal. A real change of fortunes for the country. The aquarium was expanded in 2011 and now houses more than 15,000 different animals. It's a really amazing day out over there in the Parque de Nações. That's a great part of town anyway, but especially good is the Oceanarium there. James was in earlier on at 9 minutes past 8. Bom dia, GuMPers. Feliz Cota a todos. Como vão? How's it all going, everybody? How's it hanging? James, bright vibes. What would you say about that? Coach Turner then, Wednesday already. That's true, isn't it? This week is flying by. I have lunch today with my cousin. Why has he put it in inverted commas, Doug? Does that mean drinking will be involved?
Yeah, I would say so. Not good advice from a coach. No, no. Unless, of course, it's fruit juice. I have faith in Ian,
or he'll
fellow Welshman, I believe.
He'll be running it off later on.
Yeah. Oh, he will be.
Yeah.
Bit like I do.
Yeah, exactly. You and your racing snake figure there. I have lunch today with my cousin and friend. Me too, by the way. And friends in London. And in that London, it'll be very messy. Yes, of course, that the inverted commas mean drinking. It'll be very messy, so we'll be balanced by training tomorrow. There you go. Absolutely. We know him so well.
We do.
God's got tip of the day then. For is more experienced in this community, walking is by far the best form of exercise, particularly in a beautiful place. So that's something we can subscribe to, isn't it? Remember that you can play with the intensity. Who doesn't like to play with the intensity first thing in the morning? Speeding up intermittently, so you start to breathe more heavily will improve your fitness. 20 seconds effort is, I keep telling this to Mrs. M, 20 seconds effort is all that is needed to make a difference. Would you agree, Doug?
I'd never come between husband and wife in these matters.
Okay, could make an interesting video. But
a 2-minute taster.
2 minutes with Doug that you'll never forget. So
never.
Fartlek, then, which is what this intermittent training style is called. Do you ever do that? Are you a jogger or a treadmill guy or anything like that? Do you do anything like
that? I was asked to use the gym about 2 years ago, just before lockdown, and I was quite pleased that lockdown came around, and I was no longer allowed to use the gym because I saw myself on that treadmill. I thought, well, I'm a little bit like a hamster here, sort of running very quickly, going nowhere. So I decided that walking was by far, like Ian says, in a beautiful place when the weather is favourable, as it is today. No, it hasn't been overnight, but it's improved now. And a nice bracing walk is much better than a blooming treadmill. Very good.
Very good. Doug, you'll not have experienced this before, but we have Europe's biggest phone-in starting in about 8 minutes' time, and you're part of it. So
that'll be good fun, won't it?
Did you ever host the switchboard at the BBC or ILR? Did you take?
No, ILR. We used to have quite a lot of phone-ins, but it was self-op. The whole system there was self-op, and it took a long time to learn how to use it. There was a few foul-ups, bleeps, and blunders in the early stages of that.
Yeah, me too. I'm learning live on the job.
Excellent.
So if you want
best way, Carl.
If you talking of 20 seconds of effort, learning live on the job. If you want to call in 913-590-303, and you'll be through to Europe's biggest phone-in, where we had a wonderful call yesterday from Jacques, Monsieur Earth. Called us from Paris, France yesterday. Let's see how far we can throw the net today with calls from all over the world. But it is Good Morning Europe, the name of the phone-in. So let's see who we can speak to in other parts of Europe. Please tell your friends. Deagle also with us this morning. Bon dia, Carl and GuMPers. And to you, Doug, from a blustery Belfast, 3 degrees. Windy, heavy rain overnight. Not great rest of the week. Daytime maximums of 9 degrees there. A cold end to the week, dropping to 0. Yikes!
Ooh,
Portugal.
no, you can keep that in the north of Ireland, Deagle.
How is it in Wales at the moment? What's your weather like?
Well, it's been extraordinary. I mean, okay, we had that cold snap like everybody else in the UK did and beyond. But then it's just suddenly turned. Well, it's windy and rainy, but it's mild. Yesterday, it was a balmy 12 degrees. I nearly went out and started sunbathing, except for one small detail. There was no sun. It was all grey and horrible.
Can be a drawback with sunbathing.
Yes.
He's booked 10 nights for April the 20th. Oh, look at this. He's going to be here for the anniversary, the 50th anniversary of the revolution in 74, of course. Those quick on the maths will have figured that out for yourself.
I rather suspect Deagle will be in Lisbon for that, I imagine.
I wonder if he's going to have a change from the Algarve and be in Lisbon. And I wonder what Portugal will be doing to observe that. What a fascinating slice of life that is for a country to be reflecting on one of the most recent, if not the most recent, revolution in Western Europe. 1974, the 25 d'Abril, of course, 25th of April. That's going to be quite the celebration, I hope. I would have thought. And
what a fabulous country Portugal has developed into since, isn't it? It's been
not as much. Depending on who you speak to, some are disappointed by the results of the ongoing changes that might have been spawned by the revolution. But
I guess it all very much depends what part of Portugal you live in, doesn't it? I mean, nobody could disagree that Lisbon has certainly flourished.
Yes.
And places like Porto and certainly the Algarve too, to a large degree.
That's a great choice of booking there, Deagle. Well done. When are you next back in the country, Doug?
Well, unfortunately, I have commitments here until the end of February, and then any time after that for a relatively prolonged stay. Yeah.
I hope to see you again soon here in the country. That's great advice from T-Duck to the coach. We walk a lot. He does. They do. I never considered a burst of speed. 20 seconds is easily doable. Yeah, and it's quite hilarious when you suddenly do a quick fartlek in a crowded area as well. Lion H, bon dia. Oh yes, was that you who sent the pictures? Is that you that sent the pictures via WhatsApp? Morning to you, Anna, and to Marty. And I don't know if we ever found out who this was. Good morning, lovelies. That might be Owen. From the cut of his verbal jib there. And good morning, beautiful people, from Fiona, who greeted us before she told us all about...
If that's the case, good morning, Owen.
Good morning, Owen. A great Welsh name, of course. Good morning from the Wet Sayer. And we heard about Baddie's heater dying. If anyone's got any other advice for Baddie, good brands of water heater, do leave those in the comments. And we were sorry to hear about Marty's. Those pellets, I think, are a little bit unreliable, I've got to say. Lol, I hope I do not come across as somewhat of a disaster with all my woes on air. No, buddy, not at all. You strike me, and I'm sure many others here, as a very cheerful, upbeat, and positive person. But I think it's also fair to say you've had your fair share of setbacks with your Portuguese process as well. Some of it documented on our YouTube channel. B-days, Doug. Were you ever introduced to the European art of B-day use, or have you steered clear? If I could
I've steered clear. I use them to wash my boots sometimes, but that's about it.
Okay, there you go. Heat up that hotline. Andrew is getting ready. George, morning, Carl from Central Portugal. And a Jack Handy quote for us. A good way to threaten somebody is to light a stick of dynamite. I guess that shows you mean business, right? Then you call the guy and hold the burning fuse up to the phone. Hear that, you say, that's dynamite, baby. Please don't try that at home or for our Good Morning Europe phone in. Drifted, what was this? They've done a handbrake turn Dukes of Hazzard style. Can't remember what that refers to. And imagine the snowflakey, imagine how snowflakey the workplace is in the Beeb. I don't know if you could comment on that.
Well, it wasn't. There was hints that it was beginning to start becoming a little bit more progressive and snowflakey in its outlook, but back in the day, I didn't really see an awful lot of that.
It's just straightforward bullying, right? And
it's quite
hierarchy. Yeah, and that's why, of course. I mean, I'm not keen on the put down snowflakey. And
no, me neither.
And clearly, some cultures needed to change, didn't they? Because they were, rife with bullying and things that people accepted as normal that were just really not very good for people. So I think it's good that there's been a pushback. But like all pendulums, things can tend to go too far, can't they, before they find their balance point, I think. And that's
a lovely way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you. Sarah Yeoman, bon dia, and Lee McGrady here as well. Good morning, people. Rick Steves is my travel guru. And is it Stevish or Rick Steves? Do you know of this travel writer?
I certainly do, and completely concur with Nubinette there. Rick Steves is absolutely brilliant because he's a very accomplished travel guru. He writes, and of course he produces videos as well. And they're very educational and inspiring.
But his north of Portugal only goes as far as Porto.
Oh, yes. Is that as far as he's travelled to the north, is it?
I believe. Well, I don't know if he's travelled further. Maybe.
I know he's quite keen on Lisbon. He's done a few around Lisbon and that area, hasn't he? Ericea and Mafra and so on. Yeah.
Well, maybe what happens is if you're a really keen viewer of travel videos and reader of travel books, you might think to yourself, what places hasn't this person covered? And maybe they're the ones that are being kept secret. So maybe Rick Steves loves the north of Portugal and doesn't write about it because he doesn't want anyone else to go there. That is my theory.
That's a thought, isn't it?
Yep. Nubia, thank you for your input.
It is beautiful up north, of course.
Isn't it Isn't it? Just stop for a coffee and a smoke, says Lee. I think there are new smoking restrictions, aren't there, have been introduced as of the 1st of January. I think you have to be at least 5 feet away from a cafe now to smoke, not just in the doorway anymore. I had a B-Day cover as a child. Here we go. Nom de plume, good morning. It was a curved wooden piece that sat over it on 3 sides and made a surface table.
Now, I wonder if that smoking thing is going to be policed in little rural roadside cafes in the Island Tage, where you walk in and you can cut the atmosphere with a knife. It's that full of fug.
I don't think so, Doug. I think those people are going to carry on living their lives.
I think so too.
And so should they, in my view. And the little vignette I have in mind is these folks, they're in a cafe having a café con chileno and a smoke, punctuating their day in the Alentejo. And there they are. And a GNR car pulls up. The cops get out and walk up to the people stood by the doorway, smoking. The smoke's billowing in and out of the building. People are eating. Children are playing. And the police officer says, "Have you got a light, please?"
That's about right, isn't it? The one GNR car that passes that year, you know.
Yes, in desperate need. He hasn't brought his lighter with him. And I know where to go to light my cigarette, the local cafe.
I love that. I love that depiction. It's absolutely probably spot on, isn't it?
Yeah. If not the cafe, then the petrol station. Where people
don't light your fag in a petrol station, for heaven's sake. No. Do they? Oh, my God, I haven't seen that.
Light their fags in a petrol station. It doesn't translate, especially well in America. But yeah, people love to smoke at the petrol station. Doug, I feel so rude. I haven't given you a banner to say who you are.
Have we not?
And we're at 9:32. We've got to heat up that hotline and see who's calling in this morning. So live. I'm going to put Douglas Hughes so that people sometimes this is scrolling past people on YouTube and Facebook, so they need visuals to engage them. Who is that smartly dressed gentleman? Douglas Hughes in Wales this morning. So that's
there you go. I can see it. Well, that was very well sort of tapped out.
There you go.
In Wales.
You hear it in the background. You wouldn't do that at the BBC. You'd have someone else doing that for you, wouldn't he? That was definitely self-op, wasn't it? So let me just play the jingle, the vingle, and we'll see who's going to call into the biggest phone in Europe, or Europe's biggest phone in this morning. Where are you, Vingle? Here you go. That ends rather abruptly, but it does herald the beginning of a standby for all those calls coming in from all over Europe this morning, as we continue to see what people are saying in the chat, Doug. Unless you have any other thoughts on good news and bad news or anything else you wanted to tell us about Portugal, or even yourself this morning, Doug. So do interject and jump in as and when you wish to.
Okay.
The Bossa Nova in the video was enjoyed by Nom de Plume. Oh, I'm glad you could hear that, yeah. And you can see that in our news section. If you're a beer fan... Oh, and news from Andy, actually, for beer fans, is there's a Coimbra beer festival coming up soon. Is that the one? Oh, no, that's a lovely bit of good news that I wanted to share with you. This is it. I believe that it was the inimitable Pete Bleach that was inquiring after craft beer festivals. Just found this one taking place at the indoor market in Coimbra. It's a great market, as there are many great markets in Portugal. Well, that's a good one. They promised to warm up Coimbra in January, as well as the 50 craft beers there. Oh, that sounds good, doesn't it? There will also be hamburgers, a praça francesinas, carbonara, bacon and cheese burgers, and chirashi.
Oh, carbonara and hamburgers.
Oh, chirashi don, a sashimi on top of sushi rice available, which some of the most requested dishes in the market square, but the gastronomic offer does not extend there. That sounds like a translation from the Portuguese. There's much more to try and taste at the Strong Beers Festival. It's called the Strong Beers Festival. That's what it said on the bottle, right? The event will take place at the following times: on Friday from 5 till 1 in the morning. Proper Portuguese style. Kids will also be catered for, with a space dedicated to board games, inflatables, ball pool, and mini golf. And I will make sure the link to that goes into the chat right there now. There you go.
Kids will be absolutely made up because there's sushi involved. It seems to be the in thing at the moment, doesn't it?
Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. No matter where you go, there's sushi. It's almost like Japan is expanding.
Well, hamburgers as well. The kids will be fine, won't they? With
absolutely,
their
yes.
Area there, and they'll probably be still up playing at 1 in the morning if we know Portugal, right?
Right.
Andrew Gilchrist, I'm sure he's just sitting there by his phone. I want to ring. What I want to give other people a chance. 913-5903-03. Do call in. You can remain anonymous. You can ask anything about Portugal. Not even said that today. That's why Doug joins us every month, is to talk about Portugal and his love of it, and answer those questions. Ask anything about Portugal this morning. But I think there are important things to attend to in the chat. I love an aquarium, and Carl, check your WhatsApp. What is it? A dynamite threat or something like that? I wonder. From the aforementioned Lord Gilchrist. The tap. Excellent. The tap memes have started. Well, the tap was flowing, literally. Thank you very much for that. And a challenge for Doug as well. This is some fan mail for you this morning too. And thank you very much, Wayne. I'm struggling to download your picture, but maybe we can show that tomorrow. Sometimes on WhatsApp, it just doesn't want to download, but I do have a couple of pictures that have just come in. Don't forget, you can call, folks, 913-590-303. We started with Spinal Tap. Is that a movie you like, Doug?
I was worried that Spinal Tap was a reference to the uncomfortable seats or something for a bit, but...
It could well be, couldn't it? Absolutely. But no, we started with Spinal Tap, and we now have a beer tap. Look at that. People getting busy with their Photoshop this morning. Very beer good.
I love it.
Excellent with that. And from Coach Turner for you, Doug. I think this might have been triggered by the mention of you being keen on your motors. What does he have to say? Look at they're pretty, aren't they?
There's a little Triumph there.
It doesn't like a little Triumph first thing.
Yeah, and then that looks like, is that an Austin Healey next to it?
Well, he says to you, challenge for you, Doug. Why did I take a pic of these on New Year's Day? Hint: look at the badge. So why a New Year's Day reference do we think there?
No idea. I can see Triumph, but I can't see any other badges apart from the Triumph.
Cars,
aren't they? Yeah. That mightn't be a British one, the blue one. Actually, that actually might be because it's in the Italian sporting colour. So that could be an Italian Alfa Romeo or something like that.
And did you say that was a Triumph Stag?
No, not a Stag. No. It's I think it's one of the TRs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. All right, we will see what other people have to say about that lovely picture, because we know
Could be
other
a TR3. I think that one could be.
Okay, thank you for that, Coach Turner. Excellent stuff. Before we move on, I've a couple of stories to share with you, because we like good news here. We like news about independent goings on, a break from the mainstream narrative, and we also like positive and inspiring news. I saw this the other day: slice of life on Facebook. Jumbo, which I think you do see in parts of Portugal. Yeah, they've got them in Lisbon, haven't they? The Dutch supermarket chain introduced slow checkouts. So this is very different to the self-serve that a lot of people don't like, and is denying people jobs. It would seem. But anyway, Jumbo, the Dutch supermarket chain, introduced slow checkouts when it discovered that some people enjoy chatting while paying for their goods. This is nice, isn't it? They added a personal touch, helping many people, especially the elderly, deal with loneliness. The move has proven so successful that Jumbo has installed the slow checkouts in 200 stores. Isn't that great? And I think that's going to be helpful for people who are in a hurry as well, so they know not to queue up in that particular checkout with behind the old lady who wants to talk. And she now has, and the old geezer, they've got a place and a protocol for having a nice leisurely checkout and not having the stuff thrown at you like you do in Lidl and Aldi to get.
Well, I call it the grocery avalanche. Yeah.
Do they make it up, Doug, when they're putting the prices in? Oh no, it's all scanned now.
It's all auto. They used to have the rapid fingers, didn't they?
They had to remember the price list, didn't they?
Unbelievable how they did.
Yeah, in the early days of Lidl, and I think they do get paid a little bit more than some of the other operatives in supermarkets. I have another story to share with you. This one is a personal story from Facebook. My mother, this writer says, is 96. She is in an acute medical ward where the other patients lie still as statues, barely breathing. You get the picture. Last night, she took it upon herself to start singing. She does this. It's usually some Judy Garland song. Daydream Believer is a favorite, anything by Perry Como, etc. And apparently, slowly, one by one, these very elderly, very sick patients joined in as best they could until the whole ward, combined age of over 500 years, was singing something. The nurses told my brother this when he visited. Her Majesty, last of the great survivors. That's what their mum's called in their family.
Now, that's a good news story, isn't it?
That is fantastic. I'd love to hear about more of that. The oldies singing in the hospital. And it's so filmic and beautiful, that little scene there. So oldies, if you're, phone in. You can phone if you're in your hospital bed and you want to communicate with the rest of the world, call the...
Or even sing.
Or even sing on the phone to us. Les does that on here on the Silver Coast. He sings a song for Facebook every Friday, which is always a joy to behold. And they're usually good ones, like we've just mentioned there. I need something behind me, I think, or behind us here, to implore people to call in on 913590303. But you can tell us what's good about your morning as well in the chat or phoning in. And as James is keen to highlight, you can remain anonymous when you call, and you don't have to expose yourself, as it were. Call. James is asking you to do. Go on, Raf, call in. They're like teenagers, aren't they?
Do it. Go on, do it.
Okay. And Lord Gilchrist, pleased to see you.
Hello, Lord Gilchrist. How lovely to see you this morning.
Yes, okay. Lots of lovely comments this morning. So even if we don't get any calls, we've got lots of bonhomie and goodness and positivity in the comments this morning. That's what we're all about here on Good Morning Portugal. Are you going to add something there, Doug?
No. I was just thinking of Lord Gilchrist. He always eggs me on to go on his weekly platform, and I'm bleary-eyed, and I can't be bothered setting up my computer at this time of night. What's wrong with you? He says, "Come on."
Being bleary-eyed never stops them.
No, I know.
Yes.
Quite. The blearier, the better, I think.
Exactly. Good morning from Ganesh, from Jacqueline. Good morning to you, Jacqueline. How are you? Happy New Year to you. I see ceramics. That's not quite as good as Bruce Willis in Sixth Sense, though, is it? I see ceramics.
Now that you, if you don't see ceramics in Portugal, I think you probably have some.
You're in the wrong place. You're probably not in Portugal.
No.
That's the test. Look, someone else is seeing. He's having a flashback. I see strawberries on the screen. Actually, to be fair, there were strawberries and ceramics on the screen. Mrs. M has returned. Everything okay, Mrs. M?
You know, I'm doing.
Are you? So people are phoning in. Are they? Okay.
I've been trying to phone in.
Okay. No, I didn't hear it. Okay, you're through, caller. You're through. It's not going terribly well, is it? Okay, let's bring it back onto the screen here. Let me just check how many missed calls I've had whilst asking people to call into Europe's biggest phone. It's not gone terribly well in these first couple of weeks.
It's all the self-op stuff, you see.
Go on, you're on, Mrs.
You didn't have the volume on, did you?
No.
Thank goodness for you, Mrs. M. Come and do the technical parts of it.
Yeah. All right, okay, let's move on.
I just wanted to know, do you want milk and honey in your coffee?
Oh, she was
yes, please. I'll have some, please.
Yes,
I like a bit of honey in my coffee, to be fair. It's nice.
Where's that voice coming from?
That sounds like Lord Gilchrist.
It does, doesn't it?
This is your conscience, Carl.
I don't think he has one. I'm going to leave you to it and make coffee. All sorts of things are happening downstairs. So I will love you all and leave you. But I'm glad you are now connected with your callers.
Morning, Louisa.
I don't know what
Morning,
I
how
don't
are
know
you?
what I'd do without you. Is this?
I'm good.
I think.
Do you know what?
Call from Germany.
After you said that your margarita was the core of your universe.
Oh yes.
Carl tried that one on me, and I just said, it's like 12 years too late.
Oh, geez, that's harsh. Harsh. Oh my goodness.
See you later.
All right.
Later.
Thank you very much. Yes, milk and
So,
honey.
is Andrew on the line?
He's on the line, caller.
Morning, Douglas.
Good morning.
Sir.
How are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I'm brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So you need to push the 10p into the slot because I can hear it's asking for more money, that payphone.
That's someone else calling in, but I can't see where that is on the screen at the moment. So,
okay.
All right, keep going. Don't hang up, caller. We will do our best to get to you.
Well, that's all right. I was going to just say to Doug, it's good to see you. I wish you would join the cave. We do start at 10. It's not that late in the evening.
No, I know. Was it about 9 o'clock?
Yeah.
We start a pre-cave. We do an offline warm-up beforehand.
Okay. Right, okay. Yep.
Very good, very good. Thank you,
Yeah.
Lord Gilchrist.
It's to warm up the tonsils and tickle the taste buds with beer and that sort of thing.
Got to have some of that.
Very good, very good.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes we were hearing a call coming through there. Sometimes it gives me a command on WhatsApp, add this caller, which I was trying to do. So don't give up the caller that was just trying to come through to us. We can hear them, can't we? Trying to get through. But it's not. I'm not seeing the button today that says "add this caller to the call."
Can I nominate people to call in? Can I nominate some people to phone in? I think Vicky should phone in.
Yeah.
I think Raphael should phone in. Who else is on the thing? Let's go and have a look through. Mark from Portugal should phone in for sure.
Yes.
Antonio should phone in. Joao Ferreira, sorry if I've murdered that, should phone in. In fact, a lot of you should just pick a day and phone in, basically.
This is really good. This is like the ice bucket challenge, but just not as cold or messy. Right?
Nominate. I nominate.
Okay.
By the way, Andy, I've been watching your. I didn't know you were doing them, but you've done some videos from around Portugal, haven't you? I've been watching them and thoroughly enjoying them recently.
That's nice to hear.
Well, do you know what it is? The reason I made some YouTubes is exploring things that aren't typically on the tourist map. So we've explored like the Alentejo and the beautiful winery. We explored some Roman ruins, a village called Cuba, which is very cute. A few bits and pieces that people wouldn't normally go and see. Is we've made an effort to go and look at it. And mostly it's done for our own amusement as a hobby, if you like. So, but the reason I put it on YouTube is, well, it's anyone who knows me can see what we've been doing and what we've been up to. So it's kind of free storage of your kind of media. But it's really nice. We've got some more stuff that I haven't edited yet from 22. partially because I don't know, I might get some bounce back off it. I went to a bullfight, or the races as they're called, which I think might be a bit controversial for social media. Though people might start hating, although it was a fantastic spectacle. I would go again. I don't know if it would be popular for general consumption.
I don't know. They do all sorts of weird and wonderful things, don't they, in Portugal and Spain with the bulls and the running and all the rest of it. It's part of the culture, so I can't see. But of course, there's going to be some naysayers as well. You're quite right.
Absolutely. Well, it goes back to my rather crude use of snowflakery. I mean, there's always going to be people take offence by everything, but to kind of upload it and put it out as well, of course. But
only one way to find out.
There we go.
Well, that's true.
That's the sort of editor you want.
Equally, the bull does give its fair share of problems to the matadors.
Yeah, the matador. Yeah.
And that's actually what we like to see. It's a bit like the bad news, good news thing, isn't it? At the bullfight, I think people like to see the bull giving some.
I mean, one guy got trampled, so I mean, he was probably flattened by it. So.
Yikes! Wow. Okay.
Yeah, but it was still a spectacle. I would go and see again happily. It was that good.
Dougie is encouraging you to post that video, and of course, you may put your video channel, your YouTube channel, in the chat, please. There, Lord Gilchrist.
Well, it's quite simply, it's on YouTube. It's called Portuglish because that's what I am now. I'm part Portuguese, part English, so I'm now Portuglish.
Very good. Now I'm going to ask you to clear the line because someone else is trying to get through, and I can't see how to add them to the call. Lord Gilchrist, you're sixth. Do I still need to give you a badge every time you come onto the? Or are we over that now?
No, it's fine. It's fine, Carl. I've come on because I want to say good morning to Douglas as well. But
well, good morning. Good morning to you.
You get a free visit every 10 times you call in, maybe.
I'm going to nominate Raphael because he's tapping away on his keyboard. He's got a full studio at home. Yeah. He can phone in like that. So I'm nominating Raphael. But have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, mate. Nice
have a great day. Fabulous to hear from you.
And we have other nominations from Lord Gilchrist who are here. We know they're here. Hola, bon dia, kids from sunny Portimao. That was one of them. Joao F, also nominated by Andrew. Good morning, everybody. Antonio F, I think he also nominated as well.
Good morning, Antonio.
I heard there's flooding in Porto. What's the latest? Can anyone help with that? And we have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller. Would you like to say who you are and where you are? Or would you just like to speak?
Good morning. How are you?
Who do you think that is, Doug?
Me.
I've been trying to get through for a while, but I couldn't because Lord Gilchrist just wouldn't stop talking like the speaker from the House of Commons.
So true. So true. What have you got to share with us this morning, caller?
Today, I would like to share. It's going to be a jazz funk track.
Oh, really?
I think today is going to be Earth, Wind and Fire.
Right.
September.
Oh, beautiful.
That's what I think we're going to do today.
Okay, thank you very much for that, caller. Who on this planet, when hearing Earth, Wind and Fire September, doesn't feel they need to dance, or at least it doesn't put a smile on their face? An excellent choice. Do call in again. Is there anything? Can you tell us about the flooding in Porto?
There's no flooding in Porto because I'm in London. So I can't tell you about the flooding in Porto.
All right, only asking. Fair enough. Have a lovely time. When are you next in Portugal, caller?
I don't know yet. It all depends on the passport and the airline. You know what it's like. You turn up, you can't get on the plane, or you get stuck by Seth. In actual fact, calling the show this morning was like trying to get through to Seth. That's how it was to get through this morning.
Guilty as charged. Yeah, that's a fair comparison. I'll get the hang of it eventually. Now,
that's a brilliant call. I love it.
It is. And I'm thinking his wife, and I know his wife, will be quite aroused by him speaking in this way, talking about Earth, Wind and Fire, and then a low, gravelly voice like that. I think you might have a little matter to attend to at home there, caller.
Oh, I think maybe that would be a good idea. But if it's not, I will blame you if I get hit with a baseball bat.
Just join the queue. Just join the queue. All right, thank you very much indeed.
We'll send you over a pack of Hall Soothers.
Okay, goodbye.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Take care.
Take care. Goodbye. Do you want to say, well done, Doug. I love an aquarium. That isn't random, actually. Thank you, caller. I love an aquarium, and yeah, what an excellent tip. Earth, Wind, and Fire. Who doesn't like an Earth, Wind, and Fire tip first thing in the morning? I love an aquarium, says Darren J, referring to the Oceanarium there. Did Doug write an article on the GR Yaris a year or so ago? Was that you, Doug?
No. No, not guilty. I've never driven a Yaris, I don't think. No.
Okay, so you don't want to do that review either?
No, I could easily find myself having a little go on a Yaris and reviewing it, but so far, no, not guilty.
Move your Yaris would be my favourite headline for that. If you could be given any car to drive and write about, what would it be?
Oh gosh, do you know I've been so lucky over the years. There aren't that many brands that I haven't actually driven. I've driven virtually all the makes. Is there anything that really stands out as a car that I would really love to drive and I haven't?
Or an old one, for that matter.
Maybe a Drophead DB5.
Drophead DB5. Yeah. If we can organise that for Dougie, and we'll make a video as well. I think we'll get a production crew. Lord Gilchrist would join us, as would Coach Turner.
Yeah,
we'd have a great day out, wouldn't we, with you trying that vehicle?
It would be marvellous, yeah. But on the whole, I can't think of anything other than a classic vehicle, because modern cars are all much of a muchness now, aren't they?
Aren't they just? They really are. They are.
Another caller, I believe.
Quite dull, you might say. You're through, caller, to the Good Morning Europe, the biggest phone in Europe, in fact. Go ahead.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, here I've noticed on the chat, like you've got these adult XXX birds.
Really?
Can I get in touch with them? Like, can you put me in touch with those, GuMPer?
Can we hook him up? Are they on this morning, the spammers? Oh, they are, aren't they?
I can see them. Like, yeah, XXX adult dating, mate. Can I be involved with them? Like, are they there in Portugal?
I don't know.
There's plenty of them around here, lah.
I hadn't noticed them. I was so engrossed in trying to manage the technology here. I'm not sure if we can.
So I can't get in touch with them there, mate. Can I can't get not through your show? No. Can I not do that?
I don't think so. Whilst we are looking for various sponsorship opportunities and ways of funding the show, we have to draw the line somewhere, I'm afraid. So I don't think we can help you out this morning.
Oh, mate. That's wrong. That is. That's the only reason why I called in. Like, you know, okay. Well, I saw that and I thought, great, here's my chance. I can get a bird here. Well, hey, Terry, Barry, have you heard this? It's not happening.
I tried to get a bird for Christmas, but they were all too expensive, I'm afraid.
Off, mate. If that's not it, if there's no birds available, I'm gone.
Sorry,
see you later.
Cheers. Oh, sorry. It's not been very helpful, has it, for people this morning?
He wanted a live bird.
I think he did. He not that kind of old banger. I think I bet there are a few old bangers Doug would like a spinning. Don't know what you mean. And look,
first thing in the morning.
Thank you, caller. In case you didn't understand any of that, if you're one of our American callers, calm down.
Calm down.
Yes, exactly. We need subtitles. I don't think Victoria understood any of that. It was in reference to XXX18.in. Adult dating chat, our latest sponsor. Look, Mrs. M, we've got a new sponsor. There you go. There's my Good Morning Portugal cup with hot, steaming coffee.
And mine's coming from the side. Thank you, Mrs. M. Lovely. There you are.
And who's this? I nominate Nicholas Crutch. No, I felt okay. That's the first pitfall, pratfall, fallen into hook, line, and sinker. There, thank you very much for that, Andy. Let's see how it goes with XXX18 adult dating. I mean, what do they hope to achieve? I wonder by doing that. That was Chris Vader. This was one of the guesses from one of the earlier calls. 3 calls already this morning after a very poor start. It has to be said. Jean Oliver also in from Auric. Hello, Jean. Great to have you here. And I'm scrolling back in these last few minutes to make sure we haven't missed anybody's erudite or otherwise contributions to the show. I think it's going fairly well, isn't it, Doug? Do you think we should keep the phone in?
Absolutely. They're hilarious. They're brilliant.
Excellent stuff. Okay, so B-days are the future, apparently, as well. And there is an older one, over 100 years old, called the Aquário Vasco da Gama in da Fundo Alges by Lisbon. So there is a second. They didn't close the old one. They kept two going, and that sounds very interesting. Maybe it's one of those Victorian-style aquaria that you used to get in a Victorian park, which I'm sure will have its own charm.
I wonder if Vasco da Gama pulled the fish from over the side of his ship as he was going along and brought them back to Lisbon.
Brought them back. And apart from the ones that the chef on the boat thought were part of the dinner that evening, has anyone seen that really fancy spiny fish I picked up in India to take back to the aquarium? A chef has a slightly embarrassed look on his face. 50 years of democracy, still trouble at the top. You see, this is the thing. That will be a conversation, I think, next year in the 50-year anniversary of the revolution. Is have things changed? Well, of course, things have changed. That was a silly question, but have they changed as much as people would have liked them to have changed?
The only thing I can say is that there's this shadow, isn't there, of the former ways of doing things still hanging over certain institutions.
Yeah,
just the shadow, it's there, you know.
Yeah, you're right, absolutely. A little resonance.
Well, I feel really old because I was born in 75 as a reminder. What's coming up for me?
What, 50 years ago seems like only yesterday. Now I feel really, really old. It's James. That's a wrong guess there. B-days never seem to get much use. Normally they're located by the shower. So why just wash the coup? I think that's the bottom in Portuguese, isn't it? It might not be, but why not just?
Français,
I think he's just talking about jumping in the shower. Why bother? Just okay. Yeah. I know it's James. I was just pulling his leg there. Says Joao F. Joao, are you going to call us
when he put the CU? I thought he was referring to something else.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. That he got distracted. Hi everyone. Thanks for the shout outs, Andy. It's so good to have you here in real time. I'm actually trying to edit episode 20 while listening. Well, not the audio part. It's good. Yes, it's good to be home. Oh, isn't that lovely when people who are new to the country are saying it's good to be home? That is fantastic. Andy, do let us know when episode 20 is published, and we'll make sure people get to see that. Andy, it's your time to shine. Make that cool. Not Andy Klein. That was Lord Gilchrist he's talking. Go on. They're all egging each other on like kids. Joao F., I was wondering why all of a sudden it became more difficult to walk. What's that? Is that a Dr. Bayard's in your pocket, or are you just pleased to speak? Ooh, beer festival. Glad to hear that news.
What exactly have I missed in the last 25 minutes?
A beer festival in Coimbra for one.
Beer and cars. Wow. Beer and cars. It would be good to put the phone number in the description. I could click on it to dial. I'm lazy.
Isn't it just there?
Why don't I just drive over to you
and dial for you
and hand you the phone? Flipping heck, mate. Okay. Rick Steves has shows all over Portugal. All episodes may not be on YouTube. Yeah. So he has a TV show. Okay, all right. So maybe I was wrong there.
He did one great one in Nazaré. Really good. Yeah. Yes, it does.
I'm behind that. I have to make sure I catch up with Rick Steves. My friend loves home delivery groceries. Good to hear you, Jean, this morning. I told her that since I retired, sometimes grocery shopping is my only live human interaction of the day. What you missed, Mrs. M, was a story about GuMPer, who have got slow lanes in supermarkets so that people can actually talk to the cashier and not be rushed through. Isn't that a lovely bit of good news this morning?
It's made me feel really tearful.
Yeah. I'll show you the picture. We'll push you over the edge now with a picture of an old person really having their only interaction of the week. Should we do that?
Actually, it sounds quite nice, but
there they are.
There you go.
The Dutch supermarket chain introduced slow checkouts when it discovered some people enjoyed chatting while paying for their goods. Well, that's true. I mean,
there's an added personal touch as well. I think that's going too far.
That actually happens all over Portugal, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah,
in your smaller supermarkets, without having a slow lane, people just naturally have a conversation, don't they? Even if there's like 8 people queuing, they'll carry on and serving until they've finish their conversation.
When it's your turn, it's your turn. Yeah, that's how it works in Portugal.
If you give me too much time at the checkout, I always remember the things I've not remembered to pick up. So I have to go back around.
People don't mind that, Doug. People don't mind that.
You know, that's actually also part of the culture here as well. You know, in the the small supermarkets.
Yes.
I've been like waiting in line and someone's nipped back out to get something whilst still chatting.
Yeah. What's that, Harry Murray?
It's like 70s England, isn't it?
It is. It is. But without people smoking in the supermarket. It is sunny here in Portugal. And it will be lovely. 67 in the Fahrenheit this afternoon. That's all right, isn't it? And muito obrigado, bom dia. International Thank You Day today. Isn't it funny? Just some people who need to be reminded of their manners. There's an international day for it, isn't there? Thank you, Mark. Good to see you here this morning as well. Is the bad news that Doug is stuck in a time warp from the 1980s this morning? Certainly not. I would say upholding the values of a better time for humanity, basically. There.
I like the 80s, though.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. What's your problem, Mr. Something I've the thing about Pete is probably he can't remember the 80s. We thought of you, Pete, while we were watching Blitz, the story of the New Romantics, and you would have known quite a few of those characters. And that's the thing. It's a bit like they say about the 60s. If you remember the 60s, you weren't
Didn't
there.
party hard enough.
Yeah. And it's the same, I think, with the 80s as well. So maybe that's Pete's beef with the 80s. He doesn't remember any of it, or not very much. Something I've observed, it's very difficult to call in. It's very difficult to have a call-in feature when the operator is unfamiliar with the phone.
Yes, it's a good observation.
All right, everyone. Thank you on International Thank You Day for that feedback. Andy is worried about a bullfight being controversial, but doesn't worry about the man cave. It's true, isn't it? Give him a badge. Okay. Can't you just recycle one he got earlier or last week? There are a whole load of nominations. Okay. I'm not reading these out. You can read them.
Oh, I like the first one.
Okay, muito bom.
I didn't see them all.
No, you're not going to either. Hope you're all enjoying this lovely morning.
Buster, that's a terrible one.
Yeah, exactly. And then we were inundated by XXX invitations.
Well, that might be is what Pete's posted.
Yeah,
he might have sent some kind of
that's
pervy algorithm out into the YouTube verse.
I think so. I think that might have been what's happening. But isn't it? Are they just typing keys to get themselves a comment on the screen? KJR, or is that some sort of sex code that I'm not aware of?
No idea.
I don't know what any of these mean. I bet people.
Me neither.
I bet there are a few. Okay, we've done that one. If I call to the show, it will be to politely ask all of you not to butcher my name. João Ferreira. Do you think you could at least try a little harder? Yeah, okay, that's a message to everybody there. Please try harder.
Now, please enlighten me. What's the proper way of saying this name?
Louisa?
No,
Mrs. M, your moment.
I would have thought João Ferreira.
João Ferreira.
But I'm just a Brit trying to pronounce Portuguese.
João Ferreira.
Wow, if I've butchered your name, please forgive me.
Okay, I think João. I think he will forgive us and just about accept João Ferreira. Probably where it goes wrong is when people say João or something.
Joe or something, yeah.
Try too hard sometimes, yeah. João Ferreira. I hope I've got that as good as it can be. Hello, late night lurking. Take care. Or Suze, I think, is tempted as well. In Portugal, that conversation slow checkout is called Portugal. And what? There's a fast lane in Portugal. Enjoy your day, everyone. All right, mate. Thank you very much for that. And ears, João Ferreira. Yeah, I think we got there, didn't we, with João Ferreira? You guys, why not send it in?
Hang on, look, I'm getting some guidance here. This is great.
Ferreira. João Ferreira.
It's difficult to get to roll your R's like that, isn't it?
You know, I mean, I lived in France for 5 years and was not able to roll my arse there either.
Problem is your arse, apparently.
But I'm glad my João is good.
Yes. Ferreira, why don't you?
What I'll do, João, is I'll say João and I'll look you straight in the eye. So you know that it's you, the João that I'm speaking to. So I don't have to put your surname on.
The one and only João.
We had this conversation, didn't we? We mentioned the GNR already this morning. We were talking, weren't we, Mrs. M, about how with the Nunos and Joãos of Portugal, how difficult it must be being an investigative policeman.
Yeah,
it's trying to find people. You know, like, can you find me? Rui Ferreira. It's like there's going to be quite a few of those, aren't they? And so it must be a harder job being a detective in Portugal when the names, are quite similar and chosen from the official book. So yeah, I wonder what it must be like. That would be a great thing to talk to a Portuguese police officer one day on the show. Carl H, I overheard my sister talking to my wife's cousin João, who she had known for a few years. She was calling him Jamal. Oh no, that is really terrible, isn't it? So if we could have a masterclass, one thing you can do, one of the lovely features of WhatsApp is you can record a message and send it. Now, I know I'm opening the floodgates to all sorts of malarkey and mischief, possibly with that.
Oops.
But you could, João Ferreira, you could send us a correct pronunciation of your name and anything else where we fall foul, so that we've got that and I can play it live on air. And that's the same for anybody who feels uncomfortable about ringing in and talking live. Why not send in a message? And that would apply to you. Many people watch this show in the non-live environment, and if you're watching now sometime in the future, like a Doctor Who episode, you can record us a message and we'll play it out on the show. I'd love to do that.
That would be fantastic.
My wife has 6 official names and many other informal ones, which she all uses there.
Yeah, see, that's a big thing, isn't it?
What do you mean?
Well, like if you're phoning in to check on someone in a hospital,
yeah,
I mean, you could be patched into the wrong barrier.
Again, not just for police officers, but yes, people in all walks of life there.
Yeah.
Every other person, and it'll be combinations, won't it? As well, if you like, I think you said when we were talking about this, if you've got 6 names, that will be the differentiator. They may be familiar names, but there's a particular combination of them that will give you your unique identity. Every other person we know in Portugal is called Fernando or Zé. So conveniently, you don't need to know many names. I think it's in the combinations, isn't it?
When I was living in Indonesia, they've got an interesting way of naming people. So there are 4 names basically, and you are named.
Wow.
You are named according to your birth position. So I can't remember. I think
horizontal.
I think Bagus is. I think Bagus is the name for the elder male, and then there's 3 other names that I can't remember off the top of my head. And then if you're baby number 5 or boy number 5, you'll be Bagus again. It goes around twice.
Does it?
Yeah, for as large as that Indonesian family is. But they give themselves little nicknames. So it might be like Bagus the bike or Bagus from.
Oh, like in Wales.
No, I'm just called backward.
like they'll have little nicknames. But again, when it comes to police crime and things like that, I don't know how they manage it. Yes. Because there's a family name, and it's just important to know what order you're born in because of the way they view life and how their civilization is set up.
Yes, the Irish are similar. Jerry of Expats Portugal tells a story of when he was asked his name. A woman said, I think she might have been a midwife back in the day, something like, "Don't tell me you're the eldest of 3 children." How do you know that? Well, because that's what happens. You get called Gerald, I think, if you're in that particular place.
Well, when they named him, they didn't know they were going to be 3 children.
That's very good, detective work. Well, it was something like that then. All right, very good. I love the older names, Umberto or Ernesto. Oh yes, we had a fantastic
butcher down the road.
The butcher down the road, Ernesto. He was a brilliant fella. So Louisa, you were called breech, head, foot, and arse. Not those sorts of birth
no,
positions.
not those.
This is the only country I've ever lived where I have a common name. That's good, isn't it? It's nice to be able to go buy a keychain or a cup with your name on it.
You know what? Same for me. I grew up. Like in the UK in the 80s, like every girl had a little necklace with her name on or a keychain. And, I would always get given Lisa or Louise, but Louisa, is in fact, we've both got Portuguese names, haven't we?
We do, Carlos. And this is what Carl H is saying here. It works both ways. Lots of Portuguese people struggle with my name. I generally have to spell it out for them. I don't know if you have that problem, Mr. I say Carlos. Yeah, so we are Carlos and Luisa here in.
It's ever so strange. There was two Carlos. One liked to be called Carlush, and the other one liked to be called Carlos. They both lived in Zagreb, and they were both chefs.
Right? Okay, Carlos. I would have more like the Portuguese way. Maybe the other one was Spanish.
There could be. Yes, I never thought of that actually. Yes.
On International Thank You Day, thank you, Doug, for being here. It's been fun hanging out with you, as it always is. Mrs. M, thank you. And thank you to everybody who's been full and free with their comments this morning. And you know what?
And also the adult dating chat.
Everyone's got to make a living, haven't they? Haven't they? We all need money to get by in this world. And so I hope that your efforts this morning, XXX18.in, were successful, and you're not doing anything too nasty or exploiting people. And if you are, you are not welcome here. But hopefully that's all done in the best possible taste, and that you've managed to use our platform to increase your income in some, I hope, honourable way.
I doubt it.
You think not? Okay. Well, talking of adult dating, because that was a really.
We are going to be doing a special adult dating show.
Yeah.
I know Raphael has said, he's interested in contributing, and I think Lord Gilchrist is as well. I've got many tales. In fact, I was regaling Carl with some of them a couple of days ago as I was remembering more and more dating disasters.
At some point I have to ask you to stop, don't I? It's like, okay,
But we've also thought about a few people that we know who are actually in relationships, where they met their expat partner or their native partner out here. So what we're thinking is having a really great show, just really light-hearted fun. And
am I allowed an expat partner and a native partner?
It depends on how your current are you in a marriage? That's between you and your personal God, Doug.
I have to say not yet until I've figured out an affiliate link with XXX18. Okay, and I think James has had some fun listening to several Brits talking about Portuguese pronunciation. We're doing our best here, honestly. We are, and this is great as well, because I've got a little a little play on words. I will play you my beer video again.
That's so sweet what Jean's written.
It is lovely, isn't it? But
I would have thought the same, Jean, as well.
Thanks for that. I always imagined they were short for some Portuguese derivative of Zebediah or some such things. It's really Jose, isn't it? And what a difference a Zay makes is the little wordplay I came up with for the video. A couple of videos I'll play for you now, including some lovely feedback from Catherine, who had the cornstarch catastrophe. Look, yes, let's not even go here. With the Irish names that no one quite knows how to pronounce. I don't think even Irish people sometimes know how to pronounce those, do they? Okay, thank you, everybody. We'll be back again tomorrow with Katia Lima, and we've got Philomena on Friday as well. What a week. A fantastic week. What? Why are you laughing?
Just some of the comments coming in the chat room. Lord Gilchrist's most recent one. I have no idea.
They're just at it.
Having fun.
They're best left unattended. Well, probably best not left unattended, but that's how it's going. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Michael, why is it that you don't pick calls offline or reply your WhatsApp messages? Because my name's not Michael. Talking of names, I think you're probably looking for Michael Heron, and I've been getting your messages, Solomon, and I thought you were responding to a wrong number. When people send me messages to be Michael, I don't feel the need to respond. So that might be the confusion.
Oh, bless.
But good morning to you, or good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Solomon, this is Carl. I think it's Carl that you've been WhatsApping.
Yeah, all right.
I'm sure we can put you in touch with Michael, or let him know that you're trying to reach him.
Indeed. Fun show. Look, they're not letting us go.
They're not.
Antonio F. Yes, we have some short forms of names. King is short for Joaquin, Joaquin here. Chico for Francisco, but some people don't like it. To for Tony or Antonio. Beto for Alberto and Roberto, etc.
And Manuel for Manuel.
Yeah,
Manuel. And also there's another one, Santi and
What's
Tiago. Like I've heard people. Santiago. You get Tiago and Santi.
Very good. All right. We never did find out what these motors were. Let's leave that hanging for tomorrow. Good work on the beer tap there. Other tap memes are most welcome. Have a great day, everybody. And as Andrew Lord Gilchrist is saying, remember, life is all about happiness.
Fantastic.
And it is a choice. So I think we're going to end.
I think he said that yesterday in his French accent, didn't he?
He did. Remember.
Life is life
happiness.
Is all about happiness.
It is about happiness. Okay. And oh no.
Yes,
I
did think that, Pete.
Obrigado. Até amanhã. We got to go. Come on.
Yeah, but like King, like
it's
short for Joaquim. It doesn't work when it's written out.
Okay, when it's written out.
Yeah, because when it's written out and read out with an English accent as Quim, it doesn't quite
I don't feel like ending the show there, but I also feel like I have. No,
Your
someone's
phone's ringing now.
No, sorry, we're going to get back tomorrow. See you for the biggest phone in tomorrow. Ciao.
Bye. Ciao, ciao.
Perfect. It's been really wonderful talking to you and getting a sense of your journey and how you engaged with Good Morning Portugal before and now coming to the meetup as well. So you know where we are on a Wednesday.
Yes, I do.
And you know where we are as a community. So make sure we stay in touch, please.
Well, thank you for your efforts in bringing this community together, because you make it easier, more comfortable, less stressful for all of us.
Oh, thank you.
By facilitating this.
Oh, that's
so
lovely to hear.
You.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Lovely to hear that. Thank you very much indeed.